Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about buying an all-in-one, a printer specifically. So basically this video is more intended to as a guide, basically how I came to my decision, and it should help you to come to your conclusion where it's like which printer is well suited for me. Now the first question you must ask yourself is what? Why exactly do you need it? Well, what is your need from it? Like what exactly this machine should do for you to be happy about it? For me, I sometimes need to scan a few documents. Again, nowadays, because of ink tank printer, that is becoming almost a non sequitur issue. Like most likely you're gonna get all in one, so that's not a big deal. But I did wanted a scanner because I do scan some documents. Then I do need to print some few documents at this point in time. But again, if you are in a scenario where you have to print a lot of documents, laser printer may be well suited for you. Then we come to interesting aspect, that is my need, is that I need to print photos. Majority for my family and also for my hobby. My photography hobby almost died, and I have realized this hard way that unless you have a physical printed copy of your photo, it does not have that same love to it, so to say. So I wanted to rekindle that part. Now I'm willing to go stand high capital cost, of course not without reason, as long as it gives me low running. That is the critical aspect of right now. You can still fall in the trap of cartridge printer. There are still many cartridge printer and they are very low cost with all-in-one and everything. You can be like, hey, I'm gonna buy that, and after using it you're like, I am stupid. So for that reason you have to be mindful. High capital cost many times is worth it, simply because you will save in other aspects of it. So be mindful. Just because it's ink tank does not mean the cheapest ink tank is the same as the most expensive ink tank. For example, one subtle thing, duplex. Printing is only available on a high-end system. So you may be like, hey, I'm saving so much money on cartridges, but you are burning money on paper. It's like, why? So this thing you have to understand. Do not go for the lowest denominator. Again, if your needs are different to it, adjust accordingly. But this is my needs are like, I need to have a scanner ability. I do need to print some documents, and I do need to print a lot of photos. Now we come to the extra part of it. Those things almost all printer can do. Now what are the extra requirements that you specifically have? For example, because I want to print photos, I want to print borderless A4 size. Meaning, if I buy a photo paper, which if you generally buy normal range big ones, those are A4 sheet. I do not want to get white borders on it. I paid for A4 sheet. I want full A4 sheet into my photograph. And if I want border, I'll put them on a bigger album. That's it. I want A4 sheet borderless. That is my first requirement for my photography hobby. And one thing you have to understand, many companies trick you by saying borderless R4. Now your mind is looking for A4. So you see 4, 4, and your brain takes a shortcut, and many times people fall for it. It's like, dude, it's not for, again, it's not your fault. Company willingly, knowingly doing that. It's like, dude, you can print bigger than that. Like, it's like card size kind of photo. It's like, you can print bigger than, then why are you saying this is borderless? Borderless means generally the biggest your printer can do. It's like they're tricking you into thinking that they're giving you borderless, A4. So be aware of that. Then auto duplex for A4. Again, that's most likely you're gonna get for whatever you are buying, auto duplex, if it's there. And be mindful, all printers are duplex printer, meaning if you print all of them out, then you take it, rotate it, put it back again, it's gonna print on it. I used to do that because in my 12th standard there was a book that was not available, so we downloaded a PDF of it and printed it. Very extensive and wasted a lot of paper, because again, that's why I want auto duplex. I do not want to ever be stuck in that situation. I want like all one pages again in that time, because even if you miss your printer slips one page, every page after that would be messed up. So fundamentally, auto duplex printing is something that is important to me. Front loading paper box. Now this is an extra what you call long-term use feature, because if you have paper like hanging on a tray, dust will fall on it. Again, you may live in a country where it's so cold there is no dust, or you may live in India there is dusty as hell. So in those sort of scenario, having a paper in a box is far more desirable. Having paper directly from the front side, exactly how you see in almost all enterprise grade, all office grade printers, there is a reason for that. That's the most efficient place to put it. So if I can get a front loading paper box, that's desirable for me. Spill free refilling ink tanks. Now be mindful, at this point in time only HP is the one that has not caught on, but Canon and Epson was the first, Canon is the second. What they have is keyed ink tanks, meaning the ink will only flow once you have put it into the socket. So even if you uncap it and let the bottle roll, it's not going to leak anything. Don't try it. It's just like, it's a safety measure. And then once you put it there, it's only going to go like black bottle will only go into black slot, and orange will only, these are keyed. Basically, you cannot mix them up. So this also means you can tell a child to do it, tell any non-tech savvy person to do it and they will not mess it up. That's a very desirable feature. Canon, again, I first thought like Epson may have a patent on it, so but I'm reasonably sure the keying feature cannot be patented. So the apps Canon created this one. Canon has a circular profile, Epson has a rectangular block. HP still is using normal one. I'm pretty sure they must be working on it. I'm pretty sure they will release in the next year. So I do desire this sort of system where I cannot mess it up, because trust me when I say this, do it long enough, you will mess it up. Wi-Fi and Ethernet network. Now be mindful, there are cheap Wi-Fi that simply means your printer is going to create a access point. You have to connect to that access point and then you print file. That's okay, that's low cost option. And then there is a actual Wi-Fi option where it's like I'm connected to network, connect to the network and then work on it. So you do not have to change your Wi-Fi access point and anybody can use it. That's far more desirable, specifically if you have multi-story household and you have multi-router network system like I do. Like my ground floor has one router, top floor has another router. They are working in tandem, so I can utilize top floor also to work on my printer. So that's why be mindful. That's why I said do not go for the cheapest one. Be mindful. Do you need that just basic, I'm gonna connect to it, or do I want it to connect to internet? And again, that could also be advantageous if you desire it. Ethernet networking is something that I want because nowadays printers are also getting firmware updates, and if you have Ethernet, those things are far more reliable. And I prefer Ethernet over anything. Give me absolute reliable connection. I don't care about it. That's desirable. Then easy serviceability for life, because again, these are printer, these are moving parts, these have liquids in them. Liquids could dry up, you could mess up, things happen. So fundamentally, I do want it to be serviceable, either by service center or by me, if in case of paper jam, in case of this or in that. So these are extra bells and whistles that I want. Same, you will also have certain things. Then we come to the brand aspect of it. Now again, I'm judging from the location where I am. It's like there are three major brands. That is HP, Canon, and Epson. Now all three have their pros and cons. So do not get too attached to it. It's like, oh, HP is the greatest, or Canon is the greatest, or Epson is the greatest. Nothing like that exists. It's just like all of them have some pros and cons, and because all of these three are selling, that fundamentally means they are doing something right. Some are selling more, some are selling less, but they are all selling. There are other companies also that are like very minute scale, but we are not talking about that. Now service center location matters for me. It's like, because again, if you are in a big major city, you will have service center of everything. But if you are in a, like, tier 2 or tier 3 city, that could become an hassle for you. You may have bought this printer, that is amazing, but let's say something bad happened, which does happen, Murphy's law, and then you're like, you're gonna call the company is like, sorry sir, we cannot come to you because your area is out of our service bounds. That has happened. So fundamentally, service center location also matters for me. Now HP printers, like studying what is available in Indian market, I always find HP printers are very basic. They are like, every aspect of them is like bare minimum basic, not bad. It's just like basic. Like they are like smart tank printer. This is a current gen one, and the smart aspect of it is like it can detect how much ink is there. Yeah, that's the smart part of it. Yeah, I can detect how much ink is there. I'm like, really? And the LCD displays, like, and these are expensive printer. So how the heck at this sort of price range you have such a basic LCD? And it's like a watch kind of LCD, not like dot matrix LCD. Then we come to Epson. Epson has this one benefit that if you want a feature, if like I wanted features set solid, this is your guy. Flat out, any feature that you can think of, there is a very good chance Epson will sell you to it a very less price. Like fundamentally, it's like, hey, I want duplex. There is a very good chance Epson would be the cheapest option. I want a borderless A4. There is a good chance Epson would be the cheapest for it. So fundamentally, Epson is really, really feature rich. Then we come to the Canon, and Canon is expensive. It is like damn expensive. Even the ink, like I'm comparing bottle price MRP to MRP, not like what you can get in the shop. MRP would be like in this website and its own website, Canon's website and Epson website, I can compare the price. It's 100 rupees more in Canon's case, and given the fact that you have to buy 4 bottles, that does add up to some serious cost, and that means by 5 or 6 purchase cycle, you may end up is where you can get one extra set for this. So it is expensive, and for this sort of extra price, I was expecting a touchscreen. It has dot matrix screen, which does not even have a backlit. That is stupid. It's like, why the heck it does not have backlit on it? It's like, because it makes it hard to read. So that's why I've said, like, all brands have some pros and cons. Depending on, some people are like, dude, Canon's printing is very awesome, because you can also buy Canon photo paper. So for Canon's photo paper, Canon ink and Canon printer will give you the most reliable result you can get. And given the fact that many people have Canon camera also, you may want to be in one ecosystem. So these are the 3 options that we have most of the time. Then shortlisting also requires you to dive deeper into it. You cannot just like, okay, this is the stuff. You have to dive deep into it. Now, for example, ink tank printers do not have the luxury of throwing things away like normal cartridge printers. Now, cartridge printer used to throw out two core things. First, they threw out a tank bottle, and they used to throw out print heads, meaning your print head, if it gets jammed, you can just throw it out. You can just like eat it. Again, expensive, but you can do it. Here you cannot do that. So fundamentally there are some consequences, meaning because of the amount of ink that is in the system and then the pressures that are used, it leaks. So fundamentally all good ink tanks will have maintenance cartridge, or it's basically a foam box where they can absorb excess ink. Canon has this, HP has this, Epson has this, and those cartridge, please look up the price and also look it up, can you change it or not? Because if it's very low cost device, they may not think about it. They may be like, hey, this can absorb, let's say 30,000 prints, ink wastage of 30,000 prints. By the time you reach that point, they are expecting you to throw away the printer. So be mindful. If there is no talk of that, be mindful of it. And printer head swap, because be mindful, these are liquid, and if you do not use them regularly, you could dry it up, or you could use a contaminated ink from, let's say, third-party manufacturer, which may have some particles that could jam it up. So those could cause you to either clean the heads or swap the head. How would you do that? In HP and Canon sense, they really did it well. In HP, it's almost the same cartridge. That's why I said the cartridge have the print head. They're like, why just use that and just put basically pipes on it? That's the same there. Same with Canon also. And be mindful, Epson does not do that. Why? Epson is using piezoelectronic rather than thermoelectric. These things are thermoelectric, meaning they are using heat to create a pressure bubble. That bubble bursts and then ejects the ink out of there. These have physical piezo that pushes the ink out. That's why the community of dye sublimated ink system, they love this puppy, because they can make this into a dye sub printer, and people have done amazing things out of it. Like, people have made business out of this, using it like into a dye sublimation system. So again, that's not a here or there, but that's a reason why the heck it does not have the same cartridge system. Now that means it's a bit difficult. If you mess the print head, it's a bit difficult to deal with in Epson. Not impossible, not, oh, I can't do anything. It's like, it's just a bit more difficult. Generally, cleaning would be far more preferred in Epson. In these things, it might just be cheaper to just swap the print heads if you need to. It can be done on Epson also, but be mindful, Epson is a bit more expensive. The print head is like this big, it's huge. So that's the thing that is the bad side of it. Epson, it's like the prints are not as easy to change. Maintenance cartridge is. So what should I, what's my choice? Well, my choice is Epson L6270. Now this puppy is expensive. Basically my bank balance is gonna hurt like a bitch for long. It's expensive. Now the reason I'm interested into this is basically duplex. I do need duplex. Basically pull the paper back in, print the other side. I do not want to like, okay, I'm gonna take the paper, flip it and then send it. No, give me duplex. That's good. And then borderless A4s, meaning if I'm paying for A4 paper, I'm getting A4 paper photo. That's good. Warranty of 1 year and or 50,000. It's almost like how your cars have mileage in, like, okay, 6-year warranty, 6-month free servicing, and like either at 20,000 kilometer or like 6 months, whichever comes first. So if you spend the 6 months without driving it, your warranty expires, or if you are like driving too much, it still expires, whichever comes first. However, I have noticed in the fine print is that Epson, in all their other models, they generally go for 30K, 30,000 page prints. But on this model, they are going to 50,000. That fundamentally means two things. Either it's just a number, or this is made more for a medium enterprise kind of scenario. So they have much higher quality components. So they are expecting this puppy to go through heavy use and survive. And that's why, like, the precision core, whenever they say a precision core heat free, that's what they are talking about. They are using piezoelectric rather than thermoelectric. Front loading and Ethernet. Wi-Fi is very common nowadays, but Ethernet is still one of those things that you just plug it and forget it. Front loading simply means I can put a large stack of paper and don't think about it. Desirable. Big LCD for easy usability. Now this is one of those things that you learn as you get older, is that performance of a device becomes secondary if the user interface is bad. If it's hard to use, you're gonna buy this, you're gonna be like, awesome, and then you're just gonna put it in a cupboard and forget about it. If you ever wondered why the heck DSLR died, that's the reason. If you ever wondered why the heck whole camera industry is dying, that's the reason. The usability on every camera, be it Sony, be it Canon, be it Nikon, is garbage. And same goes for having a printer that is easy to use. Like, I'm genuinely shocked at this price they do not have touchscreen, but at least they have a screen which has a backlit, which can see. And this also means like how easily a noob can handle it. That matters. Like how easily can just, oh, I'm looking, oh, it says letter paper, A4 paper. Those things matter. Also, I get a automatic document feeder. Not useful for me, but hey, it couldn't hurt. Let's just put it that way. So this printer suits all my needs. Now, print head is one thing that is a bit of an issue, but I think that's a desirable for me because that will force me to use the printer rather than just let it be. And if it dries up, jams, there are ways of basically you put paper towel, you open this up, put paper towel below the system and inject printer head cleaning fluid, which is like very 200 rupees or 300, very few dollars you can get that printer head cleaning. It's tedious, but doable. And because here's the deal, in HP or Canon's case, yeah, I can do it easily, but still have to spend money to buy a new one and still have to do the same thing. So it has extra step. And again, because I'm aware of it, it will force me to be like, hey, can you use your printer rather than just let it be? So it's a desirable thing for me. So this was my presentation on like how I came to my selection. Hopefully this presentation helped you to create your own list, to narrow it down, to figure it out what exactly do you want. For many people maybe like, hey, Canon is my jam. I have Canon camera, I have Canon printing paper, and I have Canon ink. Voila. Awesome. For some people are like, bro, I want basic stuff, do not want too much hassle. HP would be your guy. For some people it's like, hey, I like, borderless A4 printing. I'm gonna buy Epson. Again, cheaper models are also there with that thing, but I wanted that front loading. And the fact that it goes for 50,000 prints rather than 30,000 prints, that gives me a bit more confidence that is designed for a bit more oomph rather than just like lol. So hopefully that would have helped you. In that case, if you learned from it, liked it, click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.